Hi everyone, and welcome to another arts and crafts video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can tie-dye with just some water and food coloring. So before I get started, I'm going to quickly list off the materials that I'll be using, just in case you're missing something from your kit, or if you're doing this at home on your own. So the first thing you should have are these squirt bottles with the dye already mixed. If you're doing this on your own at home, I just filled up the squirt bottles to about that much, and I added maybe 10 drops of food coloring, and then I just mixed it all up. You should also have some rubber bands for creating different patterns, and your kit should come with a canvas bag and a bandana. Not these exactly, but something with the same material. This is 100% cotton, and this is just a regular reusable canvas bag. You also need some plastic baggies, and the size depends on what you're tie-dyeing. And the last thing is something that didn't come in your kit, and that's your workspace. For little things, you can use a paper plate, and you can just put the thing on the paper plate and squirt the dye onto it. Or for bigger items, you can use a baking sheet. I'm probably going to use this for my canvas bag because it's kind of big. You might also want to grab a roll of paper towels or some napkins or even some wipes just in case the dye spills or gets on your table by accident. So I think we're ready to start crafting. So let's get started. The first step is actually deciding what kind of pattern you want to do. And I'll show you a few easy ones. And I'll start off with probably the most iconic tie-dye pattern, which is the spiral. Make sure you have your rubber bands, and you want to open up your t-shirt or your bandana and pinch it right here in the middle and just start turning it. And with your other hand, you can kind of hold it in place, but you're just going to keep turning and turning until it turns into a big circle, or it even kind of looks like a giant rose like this. And grab your rubber band and start putting your rubber bands like this so it's holding the bandana or your t-shirt in that spiral pattern. And just put as many as you need to hold that nice pattern. And it should look kind of like this when it's done. So here's another easy pattern you can make with tie-dye, and that's striped. Fold it up like this, and then you take your rubber bands and you just tie off like this. Since I'm using 3 colors, I'm just going to tie it off 3 times like this. And I'm going to adjust it a little bit so they kind of look even. And if you'd like, if you have an extra rubber band, you can also, I'm going to tie off the top where the handles are. So there you go. This is what it should look like in the end for the stripe pattern. So this last pattern that I'm going to use with this giant tote bag is just crumpling it up. It's just a totally random. If you just want to go crazy and you don't want to think about it, you're just really crazy for tie-dyeing and you just want to go ahead and do it, you can just grab your shirt or whatever like I did with this bag and crumple it all up and start putting rubber bands all over the place. And this is what it looks like in the end. You can see that there's no real rhyme or reason. It's all just squished together. So it's going to come out totally random. I have no idea what it's going to look like. And if that's exciting for you, you can use this random pattern too. So to wrap things up, here are my 3 different patterns. This is the stripes, very nice and uniform. The spiral, getting kind of crazy, but still has a spiral shape in it. And this is completely wild, crazy. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So now that we have these 3 different guys, let's tie-dye them. Alright, so this is the fun part. We're going to start tie-dyeing. Set up your station like this. Use your baking tray to make sure the water doesn't spill all over the place. Get your plastic baggies, unscrew the cap. The way that I squared off the rubber bands, it created kind of like a pie chart of different areas. So I'm going to just spill the water in the different areas like this. This is what it looks like. I'm going to put yellow here. And I'm going to flip it. And here's what mine looks like. So you can see I covered everything as much as I could with color. And I'm going to grab a Ziploc and throw it in there, seal it up, and put it away for probably 15 or 30 minutes. Alright, so the next one I'm going to do is my striped canvas bag. So I'll start off with yellow, and I'm going to make this from here down yellow. So what I'm doing now is I'm squeezing the water and rubbing the dye into the tote bag, and that way it's soaking up the dye very nicely. And I'm going all around, and I'm going on the inside of the tote bag, making sure that it's completely covered. So now I'm going to move on to the red color, and I'm going to do the same thing. I can move on to the next color, which is the blue, and do the same thing. I'm patting the bag down to make sure that it really gets into the fabric, and I'm unfolding it a little bit and squirting some ink into the folds so that the inside gets covered in blue too. Just to keep the pattern going, I'm going to cover this in yellow too. And now I'm going to end it with the handles, and I'm going to do that in red again. And I'm going to very carefully grab my Ziploc bag and put this in there and put that off to the side. So I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to move on to the third pattern. Alright, so I cleaned up a little bit, I washed my hands. We're good to go for our last tote bag. So you can start off with any color, and like the other tote bag, you're going to have to rub the color into it a little bit, because the canvas doesn't absorb the dye as easily as the cotton bandana does, or I could imagine a cotton t-shirt would. And I'm just blotting with my hand and rubbing the color into the fabric to make sure that it gets in there. And I'm not really thinking about it, because like I keep saying, this is going to be a really random pattern. And this is what it looks like in the end. All the colors are blended, but you have these nice areas of a lot of red and a lot of blue and a lot of yellow. And once you get to a point where you're happy with yours too, you can throw it in the plastic baggie and leave it to saturate. Now, the last step is to take your stuff out of the plastic baggies and hang them up to dry. It's very exciting too, because now we get to see how they came out. And I'm starting with my spiral pattern. So here you go, here's a better view of it. You can see it has that really cool spiral traditional tie-dye pattern in the middle. And now this one that I'm opening up is my striped mini tote bag. So this is what the striped one looks like in the end. You can kind of see I missed out on these areas. If yours came out in a similar way, you can refold it so that the areas that you missed are showing, and you can put rubber bands here and then squirt it with the dye. So I actually did go back and I tried to fix those empty areas that were left over, and here's what it looks like. I think it looks much better. And yeah, I just did like how I told you guys. I just went back and I redid it and I added more ink, and here's the result. And now last but not least, so here's what it looks like. Pretty crazy tie-dye pattern all over. And here's an idea. This is why I chose this bag, because it has this ugly stain on the back. So I thought I can cover it up with some tie-dye. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys are inspired. I hope you guys have a lot of fun. Just for your reference, this is another bandana that I tie-dyed earlier and I washed it, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of pinkish, so just keep that in mind. You might be able to get away with keeping your bags tie-dyed for a while, but things like your t-shirts, maybe not so much. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun doing this. I hope you're inspired. If you like the way that yours turned out, you can snap a picture and you can send it to us either by email or through Facebook, and we can share your tie-dye creations. So yeah, that's about it. I'm going to hang these guys up to dry, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.